Kathy Moranti sitting in for Carmen Nueves, and this is Connecticut at your service. Good evening. I hope you're having a good one. This is such a wonderful show. You're really going to enjoy it. I have my friend Sue Delbianco here, and she's going to talk about Rails to Trails, the Historical Society, so many wonderful things. Thank you for joining me here, Sue. It's such a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me,
So let's get right into it.
Yes.
You are a volunteer for the Bridgeport, Trumbull, and Stratford Historical Societies.
That is correct.
And how did you get involved in this?
I've always had a love of history. And the reason I have a love of history is that I want to really get into a little bit of depth here, is that I realize that history is not just a study of the past. It's really a broad understanding of what's going on today. So I was always like, what happened over here to make this happen over here? How did this evolve into this? That always interested me, that cause and effect element of history.
Wow, so interesting. And you also wrote 2 books.
I did.
You're such an author. The Last Phantom Train, what is that about?
It's basically taking my life with my love of trains and taking a train and going back to the past and finding a treasure and trying to bring it back to the future.
Oh.
And in the book, the protagonist, Nan, tries to bring the money back to the future and realizes that it disappears. So basically what it's saying is that you can't bring the past really into the future as far as anything tangible. You know, you can bring other elements such as feelings and stuff like that, but nothing tangible. And this train had the ability to do time travel, such as, you know, a phantom train, meaning like the Polar Express. You've seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like the parallel with the Polar Express.
Oh, interesting. Now, you also wrote another book, which I got the title confused. Tell me the title of the other book.
The first book was called Images of America Bridgeport, and that was a postcard book of images of Bridgeport when it was at its youth and height as an industrial capital.
Wow, so interesting.
And it was an industrial capital. It had so much industry, and the motto was Industrius Cremissus, meaning in industry we thrive.
Wow, that is so interesting.
And it was a beautiful city.
Oh, it was. I grew up there.
It filled up with Seaside Park, Beardsley Park. It had so much charm to it and so many attractions that have gotten lost throughout the years, unfortunately. So I wanted to kind of bring that back to show people that this was a beautiful, and it still is, a beautiful city. And has so much, a wealth of potential.
Oh, that's wonderful. People really need to see the old pictures because they're spectacular.
Yes.
Just spectacular. I remember walking around Bridgeport when I was a child.
Oh, yes.
Now, you also have something going on at the Stratford Library. What is going on?
Well, I wanted to show how the railroad, because I have such a love of railroad, actually brought industry alive in Bridgeport. And if it wasn't for the railroad, industry would not be booming during the mid-1800s. So I'm going to show a slide presentation using captivating images
Nice.
of what the railroad was like when it was bringing materials into the factory. And I just wanted to show this. It's called Rails to Industry, everybody. And it will be held this Tuesday, October 15th, between 7 and 8 o'clock in the Lovell Room at the Stratford Library on Main Street.
Okay, say that one again. And it's free.
And it is free.
It's free.
It's free.
Okay, so it's Tuesday, October 15th, from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Lovell Room at the Stratford Public Library.
Correct.
Wonderful. How many libraries in Stratford? 1 or 2?
There are there's one library in Stratford.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So
and
they
don't
won't get
forget that
confused.
Stratford in itself, Trumbull was Stratford, and so was Bridgeport. And then Bridgeport became incorporated as a city in 1836 because they wanted to raise bonds for the railroad, you know, to make the railroad. And so they incorporated Bridgeport as a city in 1836. But Bridgeport was Stratford.
Really?
Yes, and so was Trumbull.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea at
all of it was Stratford.
With these historical societies, are they open to the public?
Yes, they are.
So anyone could go into the Bridgeport, Trumbull, or Stratford historical. I know Trumbull is on Nichols Avenue, Nichols
Huntington
Road?
Turnpike.
Huntington Turnpike.
And it's an old house, and also the Stratford is at the Judson House, the Stratford Historical Society. Bridgeport doesn't really have anything cohesive, although I do multitudes of slide presentations with the North Branch Library, who's affiliated with the Bridgeport Historical Society.
Yeah, because we would like to encourage everyone to go check out the historical societies, because you really don't understand how much history is here.
There's a treasure trove.
It really is.
And it wasn't like where you'll see so many artifacts of ice harvesting was a big business.
Oh yeah, the ice house on Whitney
Especially
Avenue.
along Beardsley Park, where the train ran. It ran on the west banks of Beardsley Park.
Wow.
And it came up from Bridgeport, and there were ice houses and mills over there and warehouses, and it brought these materials up to different markets, and the railroad was very instrumental in linking the communities, actually.
Wow.
And railroad between 1836 and 1942 was king, and it was a faster mode of transportation than the horse and buggy.
Well, absolutely.
And then somebody comes along finally and decides that they can do it better and have it done quicker. So then they brought the diesel electric in by about 1940s and 1940s, and it was a faster mode of transportation. So the old steam locomotives they got defunct after that.
Oh, wow.
And the romantic era of steam locomotive started to come to an end, sadly.
Oh my gosh. Wow, so much
And-
history. You have to go check out the historical societies, because there's just so much information. I remember I went to the Trumbull when my kids, they had a class trip, and I was thrilled. I love class trips.
Oh, yes.
There was so much history, I was blown away. And
Yeah, and then you can see how everything evolved. They had a big reservoir in the Trumbull Valley. It was a giant 92-gallon reservoir, and it pumped water down into Bridgeport. And it was actually owned by the Bridgeport Hydraulic Company. And who founded it was nonetheless our circus man, Phineas Barnum.
Oh, P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum was responsible for starting or founding the Bridgeport Hydraulic Company. And they would pump the water down from the Trumbull Reservoir. And then when Bridgeport's needs grew larger as an industrial capital, they diverted the water from Bridgeport and made the Easton Reservoir, which is bigger. So that's how that evolved. And a lot of people don't know there was a big reservoir in the Trumbull Valley.
I had no idea.
A lot of ice harvesting went on there as well. And they had two ice houses. They had the Katz's Ice House. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I remember.
And that was razed, R-A-Z-E-D, not raised, in 1978 because it was dilapidated. And they do have another ice house in Trumbull. You can only see the foundation. So when I bring people on the tour, I show them the original ice house, which actually has no pictures. Not even the Trumbull Historical Society has a picture of it. Yes.
Well, people didn't have a lot of cameras back then. They were expensive.
Exactly. But I wouldn't beckon one to want to go down in there too much because of ticks and stuff like that and poison ivy at this time. But I do show people the foundation. It was a huge, large structure.
Wow.
And had a big, large foundation, and it was wooden.
Oh, cool. Now, I want to talk about what I did with you last time. What was that? A few months ago.
May.
Rails to Trails.
Yes.
It was so much fun. I had a great time. We laughed the whole time. I didn't fall off the bike once,
No, you
which
did
was a
not.
miracle.
You did well.
Yeah,
You did well.
Well, I stayed in the back of the pack.
Yes. Smart.
So, Rails to Trails. What made you think of doing a Rails to Trails for the public, to inform them about the history we have there?
Yeah, I wanted to show the public that what evolved from a train going through there actually became one of Connecticut's best biking, hiking, and recreational trails. It evolved from railroad tracks that were pulled up in the 1940s.
Wow, it's so cool.
And the town then made the trail. It was really obscure looking back in the 70s. I wanted to show people that are new to the town especially that this is not just woods. They had an amusement park in there called Polar Rock.
Right, wasn't that the first amusement park in the country?
I believe it was one of the first amusement parks in the country. But when we're talking about amusement parks, we're not talking
Well,
about
it was old-time amusement parks.
an old-time one.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have electrification.
Oh, no, no.
They didn't have roller coasters. That came later. But they had toboggan slides and all that, and they had boating in there. They had clam bakes in there. They even had a baseball team in there.
Oh, my gosh.
And they had the Nichols team in there, the Locomobiles, and the Bridgeport Bees.
Oh
I mean,
my
it was no
gosh.
Yankee Stadium, but they had a flattened out area, and they would drop the baseball players off, and they would go up onto this, mound or flattened area and play baseball up there.
Wow. Now let's tell people where we are talking about. We're
Yes.
talking about Rails to Trails. We call it the Valley,
Yes.
but it is on Tate Road. Tate Road is right off of Churchill Road, which used to be called Puddin' Hill.
Right.
I know some history.
Pudding Hill.
Pudding Hill.
Yes,
because
correct.
it turned into mud.
Correct.
But Tate Road is right off. If you go through Trumbull Center, Tate Road is on the right-hand side. You could GPS it, and there's a lot of parking spaces there.
Yes.
And that is where we're going to start our Rails to Trails.
Yes.
Now, what date is the new Rails to Trails?
It's coming up.
Yes.
Right after the Stratford talk. And I'm going to plug it over there, but it'll be coming up on Sunday, October 20th. It'll be starting at 11 o'clock. We'll all meet in the Tate Road commuter parking lot. Now, if you can't find a space, unfortunately so, you'll have to park down in the Trumbull Center and walk your bike up, which I think is what you did.
No.
You came
I'm not
early.
walking up that hill.
Yeah. You came
No.
early.
We got there an hour early to get a parking
Right.
space. But I also want people to realize that just because it is in the town of Trumbull, you do not need a Trumbull sticker.
That is correct.
It is open to everyone.
That is
so
correct.
Tate Road is where you'll park. If you can't find a parking spot, you go down to Trumbull Center, where there's plenty of parking spaces. But be prepared that you're going to have to walk your bike up the hill or ride it.
Right. And we usually give
If you're
people
brave.
about 15 minutes to get there. Like, we don't take off at 11. We wait till quarter after because there's
Yes.
sort of like stragglers trying to get up that hill.
Absolutely.
And I want to just note that this ride is a very easy ride. What makes it so is when the train came through there, they only put a 3% grade. So there's very teeny little hills that you have to take.
If I could do it, anybody could do it.
Yes.
But I also wanted to encourage families to go.
Yes, of course.
Because it is an easy ride. If you're young or older, you can make the ride. The total ride, I believe, is about 6 miles that we did that day.
It is 6 miles from the beginning of Tate Road all the way to the Hannah Crana reputed witch's grave on Spring Hill Road, which I will bring people this year
Oh, we didn't go.
to go see, because last time in May, as you remember, they had Whitney Avenue blocked off where
Yes.
the Parlor Rock picnic grounds were.
Yes.
And they were paving. But now I'm going to be able to bring people to the reputed witch's grave for a nice little spin around this time of year for Halloween.
Wow, this is perfect for
And-
young families or older. It doesn't matter the age.
Yes.
And we had people of all different ages, and especially I loved when we had a young boy there, and you were showing all of us how the cows came down the hill and went under the railroad tracks. And the kid went down and showed us and then he came out the other side. We were thrilled. It was so cool.
I just thought to myself that children mostly love the cow tunnel.
Yes.
Adults are a little leery to go through it, and it's a little smaller than you would imagine a cow to be able to go through, because cows, I think, were a little smaller back then.
Oh, probably.
But it was called the Beardsley Cow Tunnel, and it was owned by Farmer Beardsley, who was probably related to James Walker Beardsley, who founded Beardsley Park in 1893.
Wow.
And Beardsleys were very, very notable, as well as the Nichols family and the Sterlings and all that. They were very highly notable people in the town, very wealthy. And he was a big farmer, so he did not want his cows on the track.
So he went under. They
So
went
they
under
went
the
under
track.
the track to make their way to the Trumbull Reservoir.
And I want
to drink
people
the
also
water.
to know that we do stop along the way. It's not you get on your bike and you're pedaling 6 miles. We pedal a little bit, then we stop, and you tell us about this particular area. Then we pedal a little bit more, and then we stop. So it's not continually going. And also, if you're a little concerned that you can't make the 6 miles, it's very easy. You could also get dropped off at Tate Road and picked up at Old Mine Park.
Right,
So
right.
then you're only doing 3 miles. I mean, if you're
Right.
saying 6 miles, oh, I don't know, do the 3 mile. But
Yes.
it's so easy and relaxed, and we laugh.
It's
You'll
not
have a great
strenuous.
time.
It's not strenuous. And
Oh,
you can,
we have a phone call.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
Great.
Sue.
Wow. I'm excited.
Hi, Connecticut at your service. How can I help you?
Hi, I actually have two questions. My first one would be, what exactly made Sue so interested in history and specifically, Bridgeport area, Trumbull area history? And then my second question is, what do you think the importance is of learning our local history out here?
I think there's a lot of people that, young people, this generation, that do not know what their roots are all about. They don't realize how something started and where it got to. I want to educate people on the fact that there was a very rich history in Bridgeport that had industry in it. It had one of the biggest oyster industries. It had a port. It had movie theaters. It had factories. It was a gem. The city of Bridgeport was an absolute jewel, and it went defunct after a while. And I don't want people to forget that at one time it was bustling, not only with factories and industry, but people were in downtown and they were shopping till 10 o'clock at night. And you could leave your keys in your car, basically, and no one would steal it. Mm-hmm. And you can, it was just the basic, it was open and wide, and lights were on at Christmas time, and there was so much possibility. And the port had so many ships in it, and ways of going back and forth from the Port Jefferson Ferry. It just had a wealth of so many things in it. It just can't be overlooked.
I see your passion in your face.
And it saddens me to think that the generation of today is not interested so much in that kind of history.
Yeah, we got to spark their interest.
Yes.
Caller, did she answer your question?
She did, thank you.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Paula. Thank
Bye.
you.
And it takes people with you with a passion to spark it in other people, because I remember Bridgeport when it was beautiful. I remember walking around down there. So we have these memories, but we need to pass them on to other people so that they realize that it's gorgeous.
Yes.
People don't see the beauty.
Yes.
Seaside Park, gorgeous.
The architecture,
Oh,
particularly.
the architecture is fabulous.
If you look at the Barnum Museum, you'll see the friezes and the beautiful paintings. And if you look up, all you have to do is just go downtown and just look up and see this masterpiece of architecture, Romanesque particularly. Gothic was very popular back then. Neo-Greek architecture, especially on the old theaters.
Sure hot tonight, Pearl. Wow.
Ooh.
Hello, Connecticut at your service. How may I help you?
Hi, I have a question for Sue.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, what age did you realize that you were into history?
I realized that I was into history. I would believe that I started to become interested in railroad history when I was maybe in my late teens. I don't know what it was. I was very drawn to railroads, particularly. A friend of mine took me to GE one time, and he showed me the railroad tracks that went on the side, General Electric,
Yes.
which used to be Remington Arms. And I just remember, thought it was so cool how the railroad went in there and it dropped off materials and all that and everything. And it's just that it was such a faster mode of transportation, and it was such a romantic era with the steam coming out of the top of it and everything, and these really nice Pullman cars and all that stuff. And I just was so drawn to history because I think I got it from my dad, Fred. My father, I was very nostalgic at a very young age, and I'm extremely nostalgic. So I think that my whole family is like that. We all like to know what happened before this, and we like to go past places and what was this before it was that and all that stuff.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And my brother Fred wrote a book called 50 Faves of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and he goes back in time to depict 3 dynamic eras of change, and
cool.
We're all like my dad.
Oh, wonderful. Did that answer your question, caller?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I want to get back to the ride because Rick has a website to sign up for your ride. Now, is it imperative they sign up for the ride, or can they just show up?
Well, we would like it if people signed up at the Trumbull Library, only because we don't want like a really big influx of cyclists in there, and I'll tell you why. When we start our ride, it seems like sometimes if you have too many people, they might start to bump into each other.
Oh, that's true. That's why I stayed at the back of the line.
And yes, and then maybe they could bottom out that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that, I don't know whose quote this was. There's 2 types of cyclists, ones that have crashed and ones that will crash.
Yeah.
And everyone is really required to wear a helmet as well.
Okay, I wanted to get to that because you need to wear a bike helmet, wear comfortable clothes, bring a water bottle.
Absolutely.
It is a slow ride, but you need to be comfy.
Yes.
Bugs, not too bad. You don't need the bug spray. We had that in the early spring.
Yes.
But I want everybody to be very comfortable and go on this ride to see the beauty of nature, especially with the leaves changing now.
Oh.
It's going to be spectacular down there.
Spectacular.
At the valley, as we call it.
Yeah, the valley. Like when I was younger, I used to go down there a lot camping with,
we did too.
The family, the McClinches. And I had no idea at age 13 that a train even went through there. I didn't know anything about the history. Like a teenager, I could care less, really. Seriously.
Well, honestly, I didn't know a lot about the history until we went on the bike ride with you.
Yes.
And after that, I thought, wow, there is so much I don't even know, and I like history.
Yeah.
Also, I want to tell them, and we're going to be on Tate Road, and usually you're standing on the corner with a sign.
Yes, I am. And I'm holding a sign up.
You'll see all of us. Don't be afraid to go because you're not going to know anybody. Because honestly, I met so many people that I knew while we were waiting for other people. It was so fun. There's going to be people, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were coming. So
and everyone's very chill.
Everybody, we're very laid back. We like to have fun. If you want to bring a little snack, if you're bringing the little ones, bring a little snack, because like I said, we do stop and listen. And you don't have to be in the front going really fast. You could be in the back with me.
Yes.
Because I'm way in the back
the time. You can go as fast as you really want to, and you can turn back anytime you desire. That's the good thing about it. You're not locked in.
Yeah,
but there's so much more to this trail, and it goes all the way to Newtown. And if you want to go to Newtown, I was thinking about having like one of these tours that starts at Old Mine and then goes to Newtown.
Oh, that would be great.
And there's so much history, a wealth of history, and even an old train station called the Stepney Depot.
Wow.
And people would ride, on the train. They would stand there at the station up there off of Maple Drive and take the train down to Bridgeport. And some people rode the train to go to Central High School. And I just want people to realize it wasn't just woods in there. People are thinking this is just a trail. No,
there's a lot.
Much more than just a trail.
We have a big river.
Yes.
When you go on there, also the rules of the trail.
Yes.
Because when I'm riding my bike, a lot of people don't know the rules of the trail, and it's very important.
Yes.
So it's like driving a car.
Yes.
When you're riding, you ride on the right-hand side, and if you need to pass someone, you always ring your bell if you have one, or yell out passing on the left.
Yes.
So that they know you're coming.
Yes.
But we will be in a group, so you could stick with us. But I just wanted to reiterate that because a lot of people don't know the rules of the trail. And when you're riding a bike, it gets very confusing.
It can be.
Also, I have a pedal assist bike. You can use that. So don't be afraid if you have a pedal assist like me. Yes, they will laugh at you, like they did at me, but stay in the back with me. It's a lot of fun. And what about when they can't hear you speaking? Is there any way, if someone is so into this, is there a way for them to catch up with you and you could go through everything again?
Well, I usually try not to talk while I'm writing, like I'm in the front of the pack.
Oh, yes.
Because there's a lot of people that can't hear me in the back.
Yeah, when we stop, though, everybody crowds around you.
Right,
So,
and I would think at that point, I'm audible enough, because I do have kind of a loud voice, to have people hear me. And I always ask, does anyone have any questions?
oh, wonderful, wonderful. It's so
like
fun.
It's almost like a classroom on wheels.
It is.
And you're getting an education, and you leave with something.
Also, we
and
have a
it-
picture, I believe. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
But, hey, Rick, we have a picture of, there we are.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in there somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm in there somewhere, probably behind everybody else. This is a little bit about you. You're a historian, you're author, you're a public speaker. I'm just so grateful that you do this and open up people's minds, because sometimes we need a little kick in the hiney to get out into nature.
Yes. And
Because I know I myself make an excuse of why I can't go out, but this is a wonderful reason to gather with a lot of friends, laugh, probably watch me fall off my bike when I'm standing still, because that happens a lot, which is why I'm in the back. But some parts are paved. It probably got washed out a little bit, so we're going to have to be careful of when we're going down towards the river.
Toward the river. And the Pequannock River, by the way, the train always ran parallel with the Pequannock River. And whoever laid down the tracks made it that way, because they wanted to have a nice little, view.
Yeah,
And
it's beautiful.
And the Pequannock River was a little deeper back then in the day, because they used to use hydroelectric power to run the pulleys in the factory off the river. So you'll see mills in there in some of the books, and they were running off the water in the river. And Pequannock, by the way, means, in Indian terminology, named by the Pequannock Indians, it means cleared field.
Wow, wonderful.
And I want to thank Kathy Fife and the Trumbull Library for putting this together for me, and the Trumbull Library itself. And I want to thank Monica Anton and Paula Daniels. I want to thank the School of Rock, Alex Swift, and everybody that's been behind me and everyone at the School of Rock who's listening to this, that this is such a passion of mine that I never grow tired of talking about it. I mean, there's so much more that I know that I'm not saying.
That's why I wanted to have you here, because you're so full of historical information, but you have a passion.
Yes.
There's a difference between
Yeah.
knowing something
Yeah.
and loving something.
Yes. It's my heart.
And you love it.
I do.
Now, I want, you do historical slide presentations at local libraries. Is there a
Yes.
website for them to find you at?
I would just say to go on the local library websites, such as the Trumbull Library website, the one that Stratford Library website. I'll be having another talk in Shelton at the Shelton Library around the 16th of November, and one more talk in the North Branch Library around that time too. So it'll be all
Great.
listed on the websites of the libraries.
So I encourage people to go to Trumbull Library, what town you live in, check out their websites, find out when Sue's going to be doing a presentation, because I'm telling you, she's awesome. You're going to walk away with so much knowledge and yearn for more. I'm so glad you spent time with me today, Sue. You were so much fun.
Thank
we
you,
always
Kathy,
have
for
a great
having
time.
me. Thank you.
And if you show up to the ride,
Thank you.
please show up. And then you can hang in the back with me.
You did great. You did great.
It was just gonna
and
be so
also
much
about
fun.
the age group, I have seen, people that bring very small children. There was one of them that was tied to the back on one of these baby,
Oh, yeah.
whatever you call
The
it.
baby
I was
carrier
a little
things.
nervous. But the man was handling it well. That's the smallest child I've ever seen. But I would say anywhere up from 7 to 8 years old and up.
And all the way up, because I'll
yeah.
be there. Up, up, up.
Yes.
So don't think because you have silver hair that you can't go. Thank you, Sue, for coming. I appreciate it.
Kathy, thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me from the bottom of my heart. And thanks everyone here at the TV station for having me. Wonderful. Thank you.